Howdy folks, my name is Richie aka Otter, back with another Hearthstone video. Today we're going to be taking on heroic Baron Geddon. This is the second boss in the second wing, the Molten Core wing of Blackrock Mountain. And we're going to be doing this with a budget deck, which means no legendaries and no epic cards, so it should be fairly easy for most players to craft this deck. Before we look at the deck design, let's go over the mechanics of the fight so we know what we're looking at here. First thing you'll notice is he's got 50 health and 50 armor, so effectively 100 life you have to get through. So this is going to be a long fight. It's not something you could just rush down. The second thing is his hero power. He will use this every single time that he can. It's basically if you don't spend all of your mana in a turn, you're going to take 10 damage to the face. So you really have to make sure that you're spending all of your mana every single turn. So that's why we're going to have a pretty unique mana curve to the deck so that we have lots of options. And this is also why I chose Warlock for this deck, because the ability to gain cards every single turn is very, very key to winning this fight. Let's take a look at the deck. Okay, we're starting off the deck with 2 Mortal Coils. In fact, one of the key things about this deck, because we have to spend our mana every single turn, we want to make sure we have a bunch of different 1-drops or things that cost 1 mana. The most important turns, or the hardest turns to get through, are turns 1 and 3. And so having one of these cards in your starting hand is pretty key. Mortal Coil actually doesn't actually help for turn 1 because you won't have a creature on the board, but still, there are some creatures in his deck that have only 1 health. They are 5/1 creatures like Magma Rangers, and Mortal Coil comes in handy. You also get a card out of that, which is awesome. Clockwork Gnome, it's funny that you wouldn't think that this card would go in the deck, but again, we need that 1 mana cost creature, and when he dies, you get another spare part, which is 1 mana cost, so it helps you, again, to spend all your mana every turn. I really like having these guys in the deck. Elvish Archers are great. Again, they take that 1 slot, but you can also deal 1 damage, and there are things in the deck that you can kill for one damage, so they come in handy. Voidwalker, just a way to a little bit of a speed bump to take away some of the early damage, but again, costs 1 mana, and we need that. Ironbeak Owls and Spellbreakers are in the deck to deal with a very specific card. When you put out any kind of threatening creature, Baron Geddon's going to living bomb it, and that means if that creature survives to Baron Geddon's next turn, it's going to blow up and do 10 damage to all of your creatures and yourself. So you have to have some ways to get rid of living bomb. Ironbeak Owl, the Silence, and the Spellbreaker are some of the answers I have to that. The other answer would be a Youthful Brewmaster. You can bounce those creatures back to your hand, and then the living bomb does not go off. Drain Life is up next. It is, I actually considered putting in Dark Bomb, because Dark Bomb does 3 damage for 2 mana, but the combination of wanting something else that costs 3 mana, and the fact that it gives you life back really pushed this over the edge. There are a lot of creatures in the deck that actually have 2 health, and there's some that actually have 4 health, which is why I have Shadowbolt in there, but there's not anything that really has 3 health in it. So I found that the Dark Bombs were not actually doing anything great for me, and the fact that this fits a 3 mana slot was perfect. Shadowbolt's up next, just does 4 damage to a minion, which is kind of awesome, especially considering there are 2 types of creatures he has, which 4 health each. That's a Imp Gang Boss and the Salamandery guy that does damage when he casts spells. I forget the name at the time, but he's got 4 creatures in the deck that have 4 health, and these will come in handy. Spellbreaker I went over earlier. Antique Healbot is in the deck because this is going to be a long drawn-out fight, and we're going to be tapping. You're going to use the hero power to tap for cards, which also hits you for 2 points of damage. So you're going to be at low life totals. Antique Healbot can get you back up really quickly. You can also use Youthful Brewmaster to bounce the Antique Healbots back to your hand and get even more health. Azure Drake. Alright, you do want some things that are expensive in the deck. So when late in the game, when you're trying to deal some damage, you want some expensive cards so you can, you might have 10 mana. You have to spend 10 mana every turn. So Azure Drakes are one of the ways to do that. In addition, it's going to give you spell damage and draw a card, which is great. Venture Company Mercenary was an interesting thing. Once I decided to put this in the deck started clicking. Think about it. If you need to spend 10 mana in a turn and your Stormwind Champions cost 10 mana, well then bonus. Also, some of these other cheaper creatures suddenly actually cost 4 or 5 mana, and it helps you to actually eliminate the mana cost. Now, you can get into trouble with this. You could actually make it harder to spend all of your mana, but you can silence these guys, especially if there's a living bomb on them, and then he has no drawback. It's also great because he's a 7/6, and you really need to do a lot of damage to get through that 100 health we were talking about earlier. Siphon Soul, 2 of these in the deck, restores the health, is very important, but there are a couple big creatures like fire elementals in the deck that you just want to get rid of, and this is the answer to those. Dread Infernals will wipe away a lot of the 1 health creatures that this opponent will play. It's also takes up a lot of mana. It's a big creature, does a lot of damage. You get the idea. And Stormwind Champion is just a way to spend a whole bunch of mana and increase the power of your other creatures. Late game card to help you win the game. All right, let's take a look at a couple of games and see how this fares. Okay, here we are with our starting hand. Voidwalker is a great card to have in our starting hand. Turns 1 and 3 are the ones we have to worry about. We need to have plays during turn 1 and 3. If I keep the Mortal Coil, assuming there is a creature out on the board, that'll actually satisfy turn 1 and turn 3 with the life tap. So I'm just going to throw back the Antique Healbot, and this way I don't have to worry about the first few turns. We actually have another answer on turn 3 if need be. Oh, and another one. So we're going to get all of our 1-drops right away. So I'm going to start with a Voidwalker. He's got to bring down a Flame Imp. Oh my gosh, look at this. All the 1s. Now what we could do is Elvish Archer and Mortal Coil this turn and take out the Imp, but I am content with tapping and improving our odds of getting the right cards for future turns. He can kill the Voidwalker there, and then we can Mortal Coil this turn and tap if we want, which is I think what we'll do. That's going to give us a lot of cards. I got to be a little bit wary of filling up our hand a little bit, but I think for right now this is okay. Giving us lots of options for these turns coming up. Is he going to play nothing? All right, he's got nothing on the board. Turn 4 for us. What is that going to look like? Should we just throw down a Spellbreaker so we can have some beef? Some beef, yeah, he's very beefy. I'm going to put down the Spellbreaker this turn. Maybe we can draw out a Living Bomb, and then we can Brewmaster it back if we need to. No, we're just going to Hellfire. All right, well, we lose 1 card for that. Not terrible. Turn 5. Oh, interesting. He's almost certainly would Living Bomb this, and then we can fool around with that next turn and figure out what we're going to do. Or we can draw a card. Let's start with the Drake. I got another Drake. All right. Living Bomb? No. Lava Burst. And a Lava Shock to the face just for good measure. Just for us thinking of doing that. He just wants to smack us in the face. All right. This turn we can. If we're gonna play him, we've got to do the 1s first here. Bring out the Voidwalker first, and then Adventure Code. Alright, here's a Living Bomb. There we go. Living Bomb, for sure. There's the 5/1 that I wanted for the Dread Infernal, but of course now we can't play the Dread Infernal. There's a Silence, however. Expensive Silence, but then we can spend. How could we? Yeah, we could tap if we really need to. It's an expensive Silence, but I think it's well worth it. It gets rid of the drawback. I could Elvish Archer and Clockwork Gnome here, which I think I might do. Maybe. We're going face. Alright, let's do some damage. Fire Elemental is dealing 3 to the taunt. Killing off our archers. Bringing out another 3/2. 3, we gotta spend 3 and then 5. Or actually, we can do this right like this. Put out the Azure Drake to improve the spell power. Elvish Archer's interesting choice for a future turn. We can hit the Elemental for 5. And I'm just going face. We're going to go face. We got to do a lot of damage. We got to do 100 points total. Probably more with the armor that he adds. Fire Guard Destroyer is pretty big. Alright, he's finally taking out our big guy, but we got both of his creatures. And there's a 5/2. Perfect for a life drain. Or drain life, rather. I was hoping for a Siphon Soul there. I'm trying to figure out a way to get rid of this 6/6 here without losing a bunch of creatures. Yeah, we could do like this. We could go 3 to the face. Kill there. Deal 1 damage here. Take this out. Go face. And then we'll bring down Ventrico.
Bathe in flames.
Okay, he's got another Druid of the Flame here. And that's it. Okay, so how do we spend our mana this turn? I'm thinking we do this. And then bring out 9. This is where Adventure Company can actually come in handy. So I can spend my mana very, very quickly here. And still have other card options for later on. Alright, Living Bomb is going on the 7/5. Perfect, because we could silence it. Gotta figure out a way. Let's see, once we silence it, I'll have 3. Yeah, I can tap and use Clockwork Gnome. That'll be perfect. We'll silence this. Alright, we could actually Brewmaster and Clockwork Gnome if we want to. I don't think we do. I think we want to Life Tap. Get some more cards in there. Ooh, that's going to be nice for next turn. Clockwork Gnome. And let's deal some serious damage. Alright, he's down to 39. This is looking okay. Molten Giants. Uh-oh, the Giants are coming down. We're gonna ignore that. Oh, we're not gonna ignore that. We're gonna siphon his soul. Alright, can we spend the rest of the mana then? Yes, we can. Got a Brewmaster something. Alright, let's siphon the soul. Let's tap. Shadow Bolt, nice. Let's attack with everything before we mess everything up with the Youthful Brewmaster. And the question is, what do we bring back? I'm going to bring back the Silence.
With me, friend.
Just in case we need to do something there. And he also costs a bunch of mana. Alright, as a giant, I think we're going to get this here. I think we've got it. And there was the lethal on the board. 7, 6, and 4. There we go. Success. Okay, again, we're looking for things that help us in turn 1 and turn 3. And none of these actually do that. Mortal Coil only helps. It does not help on turn 1 because we go first and there will be no creature in play to play it on. And so we need to throw that back. There we go. Voidwalker will get us through turn 1. Hopefully by turn 3 we've got something else. Alright, so we play the Voidwalker and see what happens. What you gonna do about that, Baron Geddon? Ha! Nothing. Alright, here's our turn 3 answer, Elvish Archer. And we're going to tap. Make sure we got more cards for the future to deal with our mana issues. Flamewalker. Ew. Where's the Shadow Bolt when you need it? Alright, I will ping this guy. It makes me happy. We're gonna tap again, get some more cards in here. Magma Rager. Alright, now we need Mortal Coil. Real bad. Mortal Coil. That's not it. Actually, Elvish Archer is quite nice here. The trick here is spending the other 3 mana. I don't think we need to. We can just Voidwalker into that. So what is the best play here? We could do we can get a little fancy with the Youthful Brewmaster. with the Elvish Archer and doing 2 damage here and 1 damage here and clearing the board. Or we can tap. I don't think it's necessary to play all those cards right away. Let's tap, see what we get. There's the drain life we wanted. I'm going to, let's attack here.
I'll give it a shot.
Attack face. And Brewmaster the Archer back to our hand. Fire Guard Destroyer coming out. 4/6. Definitely not easy to deal with. We can deal with that next turn with a Siphon Soul. Unfortunately, right now, not much we can do about it. This Drake, maybe, just maybe, we can beat out a Living Bomb with it.
Challenge accepted.
I'll trade here. No, we're gonna get the Lava Burst instead. Not the Lava Burst! Yes.
Lava burst.
Alright, this is a Siphon Soul turn. Easily spent the mana. It's always about here where we just completely lose control of the board and have to kind of crawl our way back. Alright. Yeah, we have things to do here. We're gonna drain that. I think we're gonna double archer, double elven archers all the way. What does it mean? Why not? It's always good to have a 1 mana casting cost thing in your hand to make the math all work out correctly. Ooh, the Living Bomb on the Youthful Brewmaster. How will we ever deal with that? I don't know. How about ramming it into a Fire Cat? I'm not even going to bother silencing that. There's no point in doing it. Just not going to do it.
Challenge accepted.
Boom. There we go. Problem solved. Now, gotta spend. Well, why don't we do this?
The might of Stormwind.
This. And there you go. 1 damage to the face. Can you handle that? Lava Shock on the Elvish Archers. No Living Bomb? No, okay. Alrighty. Do we have a great line? I think we're gonna need to tap here and see what we get. What do we get? Interesting. Alright, let's put down the heal bot. And we're gonna silence our heal bot. Actually, no, we're gonna silence this guy, because that's just a better idea. Gotta start doing some damage here.
Fire Lord.
This guy makes the math a little wonky. So these guys would cost 7 then. He would cost 4. I do want him down though, so we could start really doing some damage. Bring him down.
I am ready.
And we'll just hit this guy for 1. And I'm actually gonna kill him. Let's just take him out. Alright, well we got the board. Oh, I hate when he gets more cards like this. He's still at 75 life, which is a lot. That's a little painful. We do have the Siphon Soul and the Perfect Complement. Let's take this out. And this is really why the Venture Company is in the deck. It is a little weird to do the math sometimes, but the fact that this costs 4 is actually pretty helpful. Living Bomb is going on him. We can silence that.
Stop yelling.
In fact, we probably will. And in fact, that's going to work out perfectly with the math. We're going to silence this. And then we can Azure Drake. Alright, and we don't have time to mess around. We gotta go face. Running out of cards. 9 cards left. He's at 54. He's gonna make some impy imps. Oh, that's gonna hurt. At least he kills his guys, but yeah, that's really not great. Let's Mortal Coil on this. Shadow Bolt. Tap.
Your magic shall not
Silence.
save
Drain life. And there we go to face. It's really just gonna come, like, we don't have a lot on our board here to do a lot of damage. Can we do 40? Alright, there's a Molten Giant. That's tough. Siphon Soul we need. We need Siphon Soul.
Behold the might of Stormwind!
Alright, let's bring down him. And should we do 5 damage? Or should we stealth and tap? Down to 5 cards. Interesting question. 5 damage to this here. I don't think it really does much. Let's stealth our 6/6. There's another 5 damage. Alright, let's go face. Face. We've managed to spend all of our mana. Lava Burst. On him. 8 damage there. Nice, we're losing board control rapidly. Another Venture Code. Can we spend all of our mana? There's a Dread Infernal. Take that out. Put this down. Ignore the big scary fire guy. Go to face. Hellfire, no! Actually helped us. Thank you. And there we go. He's got nothing left. There you have it, guys. Beat it twice with this deck. Well, that's going to wrap things up. I hope you enjoyed this video guide. I hope it helped you actually get a win out of it. If it did, leave me a comment below and let me know that it helped you out. I really appreciate hearing the stories of how these decks work for you guys. And subscribe to the channel so you can be notified when future videos are released. I hope everybody has a fantastic day, and I'll see you next time. Take care.